Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. We're going to be speaking with Don Weintraub of Windermere Real Estate here in the Pacific Northwest and Coldwell Banker over in Miami, Florida. Don got his license over there in Florida to best kind of serve his clients' needs, as he saw that during the pandemic, there was a lot of movement between those folks that are here in Seattle, Bellevue area down to Florida, which is the same reason why I chose to get my license in Arizona, because I was also seeing that cross collaboration between the markets. And so I want to just touch base with him on how is the Florida real estate market, what are some key investment opportunities that he's seeing, looking to the future, and then also just kind of talk about the day in the life of brokers on the move. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and enjoy. Thanks, Don, for meeting today. Obviously, with you expanding kind of your service offering to Florida, piqued my interest just because, there are a lot of clients. We do a lot of cross collaboration with the East Coast and our reload folks that come through. And it just feels like there is a base of Seattleites or people in Seattle that do go back and forth to Florida. And I thought that was very smart and forward thinking of you to kind of jump in on that market. You have original ties to Florida, don't you, or the East Coast? Is that right?
Well, grew up in New Jersey, which is almost like a suburb of Florida, right? I mean, just lots of going back and forth. I have some relatives down there, and I don't know, just over the years, just got more and more interested in spending more time there, and ended up purchasing a second home there, with no intentions of doing real estate. And then I just got so, sucked in and dazzled by all the interesting people, the great projects, all the shiny properties that I decided to dive in and get my license and kind of do what you're doing with Arizona and Seattle. So, yeah.
Yep. Very cool. And so in Seattle, you're licensed with Windermere and you've been with them for some time. And then you're with Coldwell Banker, is that right, in Florida?
Yeah. So, Windermere is amazing, but there's no location in Florida, and wasn't the right time to maybe think about starting one. So Coldwell Banker in Coral Gables is one of the top offices of Coldwell Banker, and just a phenomenal group of people with resources and tools and to collaborate with. So it's worked out really well. It complements Windermere well. So
yeah, very good. All right. Well, I think that you have a video just kind of overall about the market there in Miami. Miami's is your focus, right? You're more so kind of the downtown core of Miami.
Yeah.
Specialist.
So, Miami, in particular, this neighborhood called Brickell, where my second home is kind of, ground zero for driving the growth of so much of the companies coming down to Florida. It's a really exciting place. So, we cover the whole South Florida area, and also have people part of our team in areas like, Naples, or Palm Beach and everything. But really our base is Miami. And I was going to just show this quick little video. It's about 2 minutes, and it talks about what's going on down there and what's helping drive the growth of Florida. So I'm going to share my screen.
Perfect.
And we'll give it a quick look here. Miami has a story to tell, and it's so much more than tourism and sunshine. It has quite literally become the kingpin of the United States. The mass migration to the city has helped propel Florida ahead of New York to be the third most populous state in the nation. Miami is known as the Magic City and was recently ranked as having both the happiest and the healthiest residents in the United States. As an unintended consequence of the pandemic, tech companies have been rapidly expanding in the city of Miami. It was recently ranked #1 for tech expansion and growth. And companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Spotify, and TikTok have been planting a stake in the ground here. Miami has also become a major financial center as it cements its status as the Wall Street of the South. Companies such as Goldman Sachs have chosen to call Miami home. Miami is also the unofficial Bitcoin capital as investors dream up new currencies and blockchain companies fill up shiny new office towers. Downtown Miami is going through a renaissance as the 27-acre, $4 billion Miami World Center takes shape. There are also more than 20 other developments coming to the area, which include the Baccarat Residences and the Cipriani Tower. When it comes to real estate, you've got options, including a walkable condo on Brickell, a trophy estate on Billionaires Row in Miami Beach, or a Spanish Revival home in beautiful Coral Gables.
Whether you want to live where others vacation, find the perfect second home, or invest in Miami's future, South Florida has something for you. So if you're looking for local Miami real estate experts, my team and I would love to hear from you. Please call me or go visit my website.
So kind of what I see is, you guys have a lot of people relocating there. The tech side of things kind of boomed. And there's actually a lot of development kind of going on too. Is that both condos and apartments, or is it swayed one way or the other?
It is both condos and apartments. So, people used to think of people going to Miami from, maybe just New York or South America, international, but really now they're coming from everywhere. So, as an example, I've got a lot of neighbors I've met that are from Seattle. I didn't know them before.
Yeah.
So, Seattle, Chicago, of course, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, San Francisco. They're coming from, during the pandemic, they started coming down more and more. They could work remote. They wanted the sunshine, and everyone said they're going to go back home once things get back to normal, and most of them stayed.
Yeah.
So rents have gone up about 40% in the last year.
Wow.
So, that's definitely been a little challenging for maybe the locals that don't have some of those higher paying jobs that have come down. And there has been a lot of building going on because there's been so much demand for both rentals and new homes and new high-rise condos. So literally they're coming from around the world, and from South America, they continue to come after kind of a pause, with international travel. Now that things have really freed up, they're coming from places like Colombia, Peru, Chile, and a lot of them are coming for political reasons. They're with some uncertainty down there. They're trying to move their money or move themselves and their families. And Miami is kind of the number one place they want to go in the U.S. It's the unofficial, capital of South America, but it's more than that because, much like Seattle, we're starting to see a lot of tech growth in Miami. Yep. And, Microsoft is building a 70-story building that they're going to be moving into just 2 blocks from my home there.
Wow.
Amazon, TikTok, Spotify, and then of course companies like Citadel from Chicago, the hedge fund, and Goldman Sachs. There's so much going on. It's really, in many ways reminds me a lot like Seattle. Seattle started to grow and boom with their tech growth. We're seeing tech and financial growth there, and people are just really excited to be down there. So that's driving the cost of housing up a lot, as you can imagine.
Yep. So rents up 40% about, and I know the market has shifted, or is shifting pretty much everywhere, but during the pandemic, do you have any numbers in which it kind of increased, was it 30% or 40% also on the values for maybe single family or even, condos?
Yeah. So in the last year, in Florida overall, the median price has gone up 14%. Okay. However, in Miami, the median has gone up 16%. But a lot of the areas, in particular, maybe the prime areas that have the walkability and the big views that can't be blocked, in many cases, it's 30-40% up in a year. Yep. So Miami seems to be outpacing Florida as a whole, and I think a lot of it just goes down to the whole growth and all the job opportunities, the high-paying jobs that are coming down there, and all the areas around there. So, going up towards Fort Lauderdale and Coral Gables, and the whole region there is. In Palm Beach, West Palm Beach has had a lot of growth as well, with corporations coming in there as well. So the whole region, I would say, is outpacing a lot of other areas of Florida because of the opportunities.
Yeah, very cool. So with the new, I think we kind of just briefly touched on too before in a conversation, just like a couple of the new projects that have caught your eye, that you thought you kind of wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, there's some really exciting projects down there. There are different. Seattle's been a great place to invest for people for a long time and continues to be, but there's some things that are available in Miami that just don't exist here. So like, I do a lot of high-rise sales around Seattle East Side like you do. And a lot of people ask for, can I rent them Airbnb? Can I do VRBO? And the answer is pretty much no for most any of these buildings. So Miami has some really exciting projects that are designed and zoned from the beginning for this. So I was going to mention mention one or two of them if I can share my screen again.
Yeah, I think it's 5 or 6 buildings in downtown Seattle that allow Airbnb. And they're not the newer ones. They're definitely the older buildings for sure.
Yeah, and here on the Bellevue side of Seattle, I don't know really any, maybe some low-rise older ones, like you said, but no, none of the big newer ones people ask about. So, so this project, if you can see my screen, is called Miami 600 Miami World Center, and Miami World Center is actually like a 27-acre section of downtown Miami that's being completely redeveloped and reimagined, and it's like a $4 billion project. So we're kind of calling it the Times Square of South Florida. It's going to be a real big hub, and there's going to be a lot of things around it. Hotels and entertainment, apartments, condos. It's right near the train that goes to Fort Lauderdale. The cruise ship terminal, of course, is walkable from there. All of the financial and tech growth is walkable from there. So this project is one of just a couple that are going to be zoned and approved for nightly rentals. So you can rent it out 365 days a year, or live in it like a condo. So for some people, like maybe if you live in New York and you want to come down to Miami for, I think it's 181 days, so you can avoid the state income tax in Florida. And then when you're gone, you could rent it out monthly or nightly. And they have options for on-site management. They come fully furnished, and they're in the 400s to the 800s and up. So, fairly affordable for something new. And this is just give you kind of an idea of what the neighborhood's going to look like.
When is this supposed to be completed?
2026.
Okay.
So they have not broken ground yet. And, they're essentially, they're pre-selling them very fast, and the gallery is not even opened yet. So what's happening down there is that although there's about 20 plus projects, this really is not as many as maybe we might need for the growth that's expected. So this project is already selling very quickly, and they haven't even opened their model home gallery yet. So they're selling them with Zoom meetings and by appointments, and they're selling very, very well. And you can kind of see the location there, right? Yep. This is where all the arenas are. The cruise ship terminal is over here.
What is existing there currently? Are there buildings, or is it kind of like an empty?
It's a lot of old buildings and empty lots. So, if you do a walk through there, it's a massive construction zone. And this is just one project of many that's coming in. I really like it because it's relatively affordable, and it's a very high-end luxury feel. And it's just a turnkey option for, the flexibility. I think everybody's wanting flexibility today. All the work from home crew and some of the younger generations, they want flexibility in their life, and they want flexibility in where they buy. So if you buy something like this building, of course there's rules to follow, but there's a lot of flexibility how you can use it around your lifestyle, or just make it a true pure investment. So it's a place to plant a stake in the ground in the growth of Miami, for a fairly reasonable price as far as a new construction furnished condo goes. So
starting in the 400s, is that, I'm assuming that's a studio, and maybe that's in the 400 to 500 square foot range?
Yep, those are studios. I think they're like 487 square feet and up. The one bedrooms are kind of in the 5s to 700 square feet. The two bedrooms are more in the 8s to 9s. Gotcha. Yeah, the unit size down there tends to be a bit smaller than maybe some of the buildings that we see around Seattle. But very, very good use of space. There's very little wasted hallway space. It's just very well designed. And of course they come furnished. So all the furniture is just the right size to fit those spaces. And it offers the consistency to help keep the value up, and the rental income value up. That's planned for when it's complete.
Very cool. So are they're doing pre-sale? So I'm assuming they're collecting like 5% up front, and then have kind of a graduated collection, or how they do in the reservation?
Well, it's a little different there than other parts of the country. So the way they do this at this project in South Florida is it's a 10% reservation. So you put down 10%, and then usually a few months later, they go to contract when you actually sign the full contract and review it. that's another 10%. So it's 20%. And of course, there's opportunities for periods of time that you can change your mind, get your money back very easily. But there's different milestones. So let's say, you know, when they break ground, it's 10%. And when they hit the top of the building, it's 10%. And there's all these milestones, and you pay 10% payments over these next several years until you reach 40 or 50%, depending on which project.
Got it.
Once the building is fully done and it's closing time, and then you pay the balance, 50 or 60%, you know, with a mortgage or with cash. So we're here around Seattle, we're used to kind of 5 or 10%, and that's it till closing. But in South Florida, it's a whole, everything is different down there, and it's just a different way of doing it. But I kind of like the idea that for an investor, like I helped somebody do one recently that like the idea of over the next couple of years making these 10% payments, and he's hoping to not need a loan at the end, but you still have the option to do so, and you kind of spread it out over time. And you know, in a perfect world, we might see appreciation before it's completed. No guarantees, but the way Miami's going, that might be the case.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I like that idea, because then you're kind of paying as you go. And then it's probably also when you get to the closing process, lenders may or may not have, depending on where the ratios are, and you know, that whole debacle and drama that happens when buildings open for closing, less likely to have as much drama. So I think that is that's smart, and it's good for the developer too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they've really dialed it in on this project, and this is just one of my favorite ones that I feel really comfortable recommending. I think they've really dialed it in as far as what they're offering, what you get, and the location. You know, right now it's a construction zone, but if people have the vision, I think we might look back 5-10 years down the line and feel like these prices were quite reasonable for, you know, a major city with major growth that's turning into, you know, it's kind of a shining star in the world right now, what's happening in Miami. So
yeah, very cool. Yeah, we'll definitely post the links to this, and of course your information too. And then there was another one you wanted to mention.
Yeah, so there's a similar project called Nomad, which is in the arts and tech area, which is it's not right by the water, it's not downtown. It's a little further inland, and it's if you've ever seen the Wynwood walls where they've got those really cool graffiti arts in Miami, if you can picture that, it's a beautiful neighborhood where it's all local artists and local eateries, and you've got tech companies moving in there as well. So this is the only building called Nomad. It's the Nomad brand, which you might have heard of from Vegas or London or New York. It's a branded building, mid-rise, and it's the only building in that neighborhood that allows the nightly rental. So again, it's another one of these very flexible projects. Prices start in the 500s and go to $1 million, $1.2 million. There's going to be a 13,000 square foot Casa 2 on the first level. So if you've ever heard of Italy, like out of New York, that you know, that big, you know, Italian food emporium, this is going to be very much like that. It's actually a big draw. People that know of Casa 2, it gives a lot of credibility to the building to have that and the Nomad branding. So another one of these fully furnished projects, similar to the concept I mentioned before, but the really exciting one I wanted to mention briefly, which is just kind of maybe a little bit of dreaming for most of us, but it's the Bentley building. And this one is right on the beach in Sunny Isles Beach, just north of Miami. And it is branded by the car company Bentley. You know, in Miami, we like our brands. So, you know, you've got Bentley building, Aston Martin building, the Baccarat Crystal building, the Porsche building. I can go on and on. The Diesel clothing brand building. I could go on and on, right? So this one is kind of at the top, I think, because it's going to be the largest residential condo building on the beach here in the United States. And what's so exciting to me is you know, if you love cars like me, you're going to be able to pull your car in the elevator. You stay in the car, it'll bring you up to the 20th or 40th or whatever your floor is. And then that literally that photo there, that's your garage. You get out of the car, it's a 3 to 4 car garage, and you're home. And every unit's about 4,000 to 6,000 square feet with outdoor living and a private pool in each unit. So it's pretty much over the top. And of course the prices reflect that, because they're 5 to 7 million starting at and going up from there. This is an example of one of the private pools. So I just recently toured the gallery, which is on the beach. They've not broken ground yet. and they are 50% sold. So about 1 in every 4 appointments they have there is resulting in a reservation.
Yep.
So definitely a fun, exciting project, or something to dream about maybe. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, nice. So we're just, I know we've talked about this before. The other thing I just wanted to touch on is, as we kind of expand our horizons as agents, because traditionally, you're sitting in the dirt that you're selling, and you're, servicing the clients that are in that specific area. I think what the pandemic kind of brought out of you, and also myself, is that, our clients are so mobile now, and they are, they're international, they're bi-coastal, and they're moving around themselves. And so to better kind of serve their needs and get a full scope on what do they have as their assets and what are their goals in real estate and all that, we kind of have to expand, our mindset too, and actually jump into these different markets. So that was, again, one of the reasons why I didn't. I think I hear the same from you, is why you kind of stepped into the Florida markets, just so you could kind of have that cross collaboration, better serve your clients, and be there when they need you for everything, basically.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not gonna lie, I also love the sunshine, year-round sunshine. So when I need a little break from some of our gloomy weather, it's a good reason to go work in Florida, right? But yeah, for sure. I like to say, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person.
Yes.
And you and I are both busy and have good systems in place, and tools and team and resources. And I think part of it is that, a place like Florida seems so foreign and so far away. I mean, you can't get any further away from Seattle than Miami, right? And of course, going to Arizona, a lot of people just don't know people there, right? So just knowing someone that you trust, is meaningful, and just gives people confidence. When I purchased there, I didn't really know, I knew people down there, I just didn't really know an agent, in my area. So I had to kind of find somebody on my own. And honestly, the first person I found, you think I could pick a good agent, being an agent, but the first person I found just didn't quite work out. I had to switch and found a phenomenal woman, Camille. But something, just knowing someone you trust, and it's like, if I have a referral to Arizona and I trust you, or you trust me with Miami, I think that's just the most important thing. You don't need to be there, boots on the ground every single day, year round, to be able to take care of somebody. And I think, I'm learning things in Florida that I'm bringing back to my work profession here. And I'm bringing things from here that I think are more advanced than what they do down there. And I find that when I'm in my office down there, I can't get a lot of work done, because my amazing colleagues have so many questions about things that I'm doing here, right? And vice versa. That I think it's just a new challenge, and it just makes us better and makes us serve our clients better. That's been my experience so far, but it's not easy.
Yep.
It's definitely been a challenge. Your flights are a lot shorter than mine, so that helps you as well, right? So
yeah, it's been nice. And that was one of our kind of prerequisites, I guess, when we were kind of looking at where we wanted to land, and kind of where I was feeling that the base of clients were going, and where everything was moving, and being closer 2.5 hours to jump on a flight, because I could go home for just a day, or I could come here for just a day, and it does work that way. So I could see it being a little bit more or you just having to plan a little bit more, maybe, when you're going quite as far as you. But that does, you have your team, your support, the people that you need, on both ends. And so really doesn't matter. So very cool.
I agree. Well said.
Yeah. Good. Well, is there anything else you wanted to share about the Florida market at all, or maybe going into 2023, kind of how you feel everything is going to shape up?
Yeah. What's interesting is, as much as things are booming down in Florida and Miami, it's, we're not immune down there to inflation and the higher interest rates that everyone, they've softened a little bit, but still, I mean, it's making it harder for buyers everywhere. But I do feel like what we're seeing is although there's been a softening in the markets across the country, I feel like Miami is been less affected by that. I think there's definitely going to be a bit more balance for buyers, and not so one side just to sellers there, but maybe not as much as some other parts of the country that aren't as strong, don't as much growth. So next year, I mean, we're desperate for house listings. There are high-rise condos being built. There's not that many houses and townhomes being built. They're just not, as big as Florida is. I mean, it's a pretty, I mean, it's filling up quickly, I guess you could say. It's no longer, you don't go down there to save money anymore. That's really, I think those days are kind of over. We're catching up in price to other places. So definitely we're seeing a bit more balance, but there's just an extreme shortage of single family houses for sale. So I recently toured some of these amazing Spanish revival homes in Coral Gables, and it's just incredible how quickly they're selling if they're priced right. There just so few of them. Yeah. And schools is a big problem in South Florida. There's a lot of pressure on the schools with the growth, and for those people looking for private schools, there's years wait lists. There just aren't enough. I mean, there's just some things that, there's just some growing pains down there, but the market's expected to stay strong. The inventory levels are really pretty low right now. If you take away some of these new condos, there really isn't that much. And there's a lot of stale inventory, properties that are rented that you can barely get in and see, and are they really for sale? But there really is not that many options right now. So we're all trying to get some more listings and some more balance in the market, and we think it's going to hold up really well next year. So I guess we'll see.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that actually is something that a lot of key areas or higher desirable areas are experiencing too. It's actually, even though inventory is growing, inventory is pretty short. I mean, there's not a lot that it's a short lived. There's just not a lot of inventory on the market in the key areas that people want to be. So like, here for an example, in Arizona, there's an area, Palmcroft and Canto, which is kind of more of the historic district of downtown Phoenix. And it's more of kind of the urban, I kind of equate it to our Queen Anne back home, right? And you have all these homes of all different sizes, and there's a couple really great private schools, a boys' school and a girls' school over there, and they're highly desirable. There hardly anything comes up, and even now, and when you see listings come up, I mean, they go off the market really, really quick. And then Biltmore is another area. You got Paradise Valley, key areas in Scottsdale, and in those little submarkets, it's just when they come up, they're still popping off pretty quick. The ones that are overpriced, obviously where they're overshooting the market, will sit there and wait, because buyers are smart and they, watch the market, and everyone's in tune with what's going on with real estate. We have been for a while. So, and so, it's just kind of funny, all the talk of chatter of inventory increasing and, prices dropping and all that. To be honest, we are seeing it, but it's not really the desirable inventory in certain price ranges. So, and it's very school driven too. I think that was very spot on. That's something that a lot of people are looking for now.
Yeah, and what's interesting is there's been some stats that 800 people plus a day have been moving to Florida. Now we've had some hurricanes and things that maybe slowed that down a little bit, but there's just so many people coming. I know there's a lot of stories similar to that with Arizona, right? And the people just keep coming, and it's just this puzzle to figure it all out, like this whole puzzle, putting it together for our buyers and sellers. And I like to say that, life drives real estate. It's really hard to time the market, right? So I think it's more the time you're in the market than trying to time the market, because the people that are buying now, although those payments don't feel as good as spring, there's a good chance they'll be able to refinance later. And then when the prices go up again, when the interest rates go down, typically the prices go up. And the people that are buying now, because their life changes and they need to move or want to move or need more space or downsizing, there's opportunities to always improve the loan later. So
for sure. Good. Well, I think we could probably wrap up now. I think we covered a lot of ground, and I thank you for sharing your kind of expertise. And we'll be reposting this, of course, and we'll post your contact information, and I'll continue to scoop people your way who are looking to kind of base themselves over there in Miami or investment plays.
And same with Arizona for sure. Always looking for it comes up a lot, right? The whole Arizona back and forth, and the recent investor I helped never had been to Miami, right? So there's just some people that don't see themselves going down there and using it, but they're looking to put money somewhere they feel maybe more comfortable with than the stock market or cryptocurrency these days, right? So it's just good to have a working relationship and be a resource for people that have some needs or possible needs as we look ahead. So.
Yep, exactly. Good. Well, thank you, Don. Appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you very much. Maybe we'll do this again in a year from now. We'll see looking back, how things turned out. But I'm excited to see where the market's going in Florida, hear more about Arizona, and of course, Seattle is still an exciting place as well. So thanks for having me.
Definitely. All right. Well, you take care, and we'll check in with you soon.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.